and welcome to Focus on Africa Food Systems Forum, the journey from 2024 to 2025. We are joined by Pathé, Managing Director, Africa Food System Forum, and Lawrence Haddad, Executive Director at Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition, to discuss the outcomes of AFS 2024 and what the next Africa Food System Forum holds in 2025. Thank you for joining us. What defined the 2024 Africa Food System theme, and what were the key outcomes?
Thank you very much for these invitations, and it's been a great pleasure collaborating with you in all media across the continent during the 2024 AFS Forum here in Kigali. So overall satisfaction by participants, but also by our leaders, young people who were here massively this year as compared to the other years. So the agenda set is being pushed forward, the food system agenda, but also the promotion of investment in the sector. A lot of discussion, a lot of deals between countries, between MSMEs, but also at the center of this forum, a platform for partnership and collaboration. So high satisfaction by all, and we keep improving and fixing and growing as a platform with the main objective of transforming food system on our continent.
Great. What major challenges were addressed at the 2024 AFS, and which innovations stood out?
So challenges when you deal with a forum, it's not only just a summit, 1 week, it's a year round. And obviously year round means you need an accountability where you have to follow up whatever was committed, how it has been implemented. That has been indeed one of our challenge, not only for this summit or for this forum, but for many forums and also many programs on the continent. So we keep improving. We've been building also tools and mechanisms to make sure if people comes to the summit, we will have also feedback, and we will continue to track result and impact before the summit. So that has been the solution to do it, and we innovate by bringing students that were in all those spheres and areas where people were taking decision right now, following on those decisions, which we will also share next year at the next summit, holding everyone accountable. So it is, as we grow, this summit has to be like a 2,000, even less in the past 10 years to now, almost a 5,000 to 6,000 participants. Again, always challenging, dealing with it on our continent. And I think we need facilities can host 10,000 people, 20,000. Today, we have the COP happening in Baku, but these are massive, infrastructure to welcome that kind of people. So why not also on the continent? And I think as we grow, it also shows the limit of any country that would like to host bigger event when it goes beyond 5, 6, 7, 8,000, 10,000 people. It's not just a number, but it's the ecosystem, and people would like to attend. It became also a platform of partnership where everyone would like to be part of. I think most of our countries on the continent, while we are comfortable organizing it here in Kigali, which has world-class infrastructure, but other countries on the continent, it's also a call for them to know that mice industry is also a good sector to develop in their countries, and then it starts also with infrastructure.
With the outcomes you've just listed, how are these outcomes being integrated into the 2025 AFS in Senegal, and what is the proposed theme so far?
Yeah, so we just completed the selection of the next host, which Senegal has been chosen by our partners to be the next one among other countries that were competing. Some of the criteria was to have infrastructure and venues that would be suitable for this summit, which is the case for the case of Senegal. They invested recently heavily in those type of infrastructure, but more importantly, political leadership to move the food system transformation agenda forward. It's not just about the country, but it's about the continent and the world. So they have a young leadership. They were very committed to support this process. It's also about, welcoming people and having the infrastructure, managing also people when they are in the country, including security, including managing traffic of people, and also the ease of getting there, administrative, etc. So all of this were combined as part of the criteria to have it. But diversity, the forum has been organized over the past 4 or 5 years here in East Africa, and it was now time also to diversify whether West Africa, North Africa, or Southern. So Senegal has been selected. It's a francophone country, West Africa, so it gives also certain leverage from diversity, region, geographical diversity to have it in another country. So most of the different challenge which we always face when you're organizing is more related to also early planning. The earlier, the better. So we have selected the country very early. So now we'll start moving on it. It's not just planning for organizing a summit, but there are many other things: the agenda, the content, the program, the direction, the momentum, but also connecting countries and making sure that young people are at the center. And a lot of activities are happening from now to the summit in September.
Okay. Looking at the challenges, what critical challenges will the 2025 FAs tackle, and what special provisions in Senegal making to catalyze development?
So for 2025, I think usually challenge also is when you are having a clashing agenda. And it was the case this year with FOCAC, where we try also to plan, but unfortunately it happened at the same time, which has taken the leadership in China, and also quite a number of ministers. So we will try to do our best to not have any agenda clashing with this one for 2025. So the country also that is hosting in many big cities, sometimes you have this issue of traffic, which also need to be managed properly, and also having a roadmap on how welcoming people will be done depending on where the venue is, but working very early to define a very solid and robust agenda. That robust and very solid agenda will require also to work very early with young people and mobilize them very early. So I think the early, the better. That's where we are, and we hope this will be a successful one as the previous session events in this year in Kigali.
Lastly, what does hosting FAs in Senegal in 2025 mean for the country and for FAS's objectives?
Yeah, so let me maybe share the feedback from the country from during the interview process, selection process, but also the announcement. So excitement because it is in line with the 2050 vision of the country, which food system and food transformation, agri-food system transformation is at the center of their longer term vision and sector policies. So excitement because it's also a world-class event that will bring visibility to the country, political, but also opportunity of investment and opportunity for them also to test their capacity to welcome a bigger event as they plan to organize the Youth Olympic Games from 2026. So all of these are feedback which we receive from them, and so they would like also to convene this kind of big event to make sure that they play a key role from a leadership to support food system transformation on the continent. It has economic impact when it comes to tourism, when it comes also to having people there. It has also political impact. It has investment impact on MSMEs, and most of these were part of the different feedback we received from the country as part of their, receiving the announcement.
We work a lot with the governments. We will, in this nutritious food financing facility, for example, we're trying to work with government agencies to say in 10 years' time, can you adopt these kind of blended finance mechanisms? Can you build them in? Because most governments want to work with the private sector in the food space. They want to do that. They sometimes don't quite know how to engage, especially if there are lots of small and medium enterprises, because that means they have to engage with thousands of business. How do they do that? The business associations, the confederations of industry, tend to focus on the bigger companies. So we are working with, they're called enterprise support units or organizations, who are business associations that work with smaller SMEs. And we will work with them to make sure that governments hear the voices of small and medium enterprises and then begin to build those links so that in 10 years' time, governments will take on these enterprise support organizations, these medium organizations that are aggregating the SMEs and linking them into bigger finance. But governments, because they're hidden, governments don't invest enough in market infrastructure. So when COVID hit, a lot of the food markets closed down because the protocols weren't right, or because they hadn't got the right food safety protocols in place. Live animals were next to fresh, uncooked meats and vegetables. So working with city governments, we raised funds to rebuild a lot of these markets. And now the market infrastructure, I just visited one in Nairobi last week, and there's a beautiful cold storage room for a very big market. It has a space for 480 crates in it. So each one of the market stall vendors in that market can, for a very low amount of money, rent a space in this cold storage room that helps them preserve their vegetables, their fish, their eggs, their dairy. So market infrastructure is really important, voice is really important, and linking SMEs to bigger finance mechanisms, the more formal banking sector, is very important too, through these enterprise support organizations.
We wish you all the best for the AFS in 2025 in Senegal. Thank you. This was a conversation with Pathé, Managing Director of Africa's Food System Forum on driving food security in Africa, and Lawrence Haddad, Executive Director at Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition, on investment and partnership as a pipeline for SMEs growth.